Saraswati Namastubhyam
Namastubhyam
Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham
Vidyarambham
मला
Karishyami
आवाज आहे का काम असलं
Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada
Vasudevam
Vasudevam Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam
Krishnam
Krishnam Vande Jagadguru.
Krishnam Vande Jagadguru.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om Dheerajji.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om Arvindji. Namaskar.
हरि ओम.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Yes, so we are starting what is the 14th Shloka of the 14th Adhyay. Before we begin, can someone recollect anything that we have seen? We have to form a link. Yes, Deepali ji. All right, your hand has come up first. Yes, please.
In the end of 13th Adhyay, Lord Krishna told Arjuna, as a single sun can lights up the entire earth, so too the Kshetrajna lights up the entire Kshetra.
Okay. I'm sorry, I muted you, Deepali ji. Please unmute. Sorry, by mistake got muted. You were talking about. Please repeat once more. Ji.
In the end of 13th Adhyay, Lord Krishna told Arjuna, as a single sun can lights up the entire earth, so too does the Kshetrajna lights up the entire Kshetra.
Okay.
And with the inner eye of knowledge, we can get the perfect knowledge of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. And so we can achieve liberation from Prakriti.
From the place of freedom from Prakriti.
Okay. In the beginning of 14th Adhyay, Lord Krishna tell Arjuna that he is the father of all living, all things, using whose seed the universe has come into existence. He is the father, and that womb and creation, infused seed, etc. shlokas are there. Then he introduces three gunas, rajas, tamas, and sattva, and their qualities. That sattva reflects purity, goodness, calmness, happiness. Then rajas ignites passionate fire, which gives birth to desires, attachment to the works and its fruits. And then tamas guna, which creates delusion, laziness, ignorance, etc. And then he told, when
just one more suggestion, Deepali ji. Instead of looking from the book, also you can just write, like even in your own words, no, describe. That will become more we can say interesting and more relatable for everybody as well, ji.
Yes. Then he told that when tamas guna is at its highest peak, tamas guna, then rajas and sattva are depressed. And when sattva guna is leading, then rajas and tamas are suppressed. And when tamas and sattva have been suppressed, then the rajas gun rises. And he goes on introducing and explaining that gunas.
Acha ji. All right, Deepali ji. Thank you for the nice summary. Badrinath ji, would you like to add something? Hari Om Usha ji, namaste, and Hari Om Rekha ji. Namaste. Hari Om Shivaji. Hari ji. Namaste. Yes, please. Hari Om. Hari Om Arvind ji. Yes, Deepali ji, would you like to... sorry, Badrinath ji, would you like to add?
Yeah, there is only one thing last. When the doors of the knowledge knock, then the awakening is there in the human being. And then all the sattva gunas, they come as a dominating force in such an individual's life.
And corollary also, isn't it, Badrinath ji? Or the corollary also, isn't it? When sattva guna is cultivated inside an individual, such a person has greatest chance of realization. That awakening, that experience, anubhav, what people call adhyatmik anubhav, that is most likely to take place when there is sattva guna. That is why all the yogis ask us to follow that. Yes, please. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Yes. Anybody else wishes to add, or should we continue? Yes, Shivaji wants to add something. Please unmute.
Just that, I mean, we have said about the predominance, or rather the superiority of sattvic guna, but I think you explained yesterday that a bit of rajas is necessary. It shouldn't be confused as all sattvic. but sometimes rajas is also necessary. And even sometimes I think tamas was also mentioned. When you get into a very enlightened state, there is a bit of tamas there.
But very fractional amount of what we
That's
can
right.
say could be. It's like anesthetic effect. You have more anesthetic than required, it will have overdose problems.
Yeah, that's
Doctors have to give a right amount, then anesthesia is possible. Something like that depends on the situation. It's a very dynamic thing, but we have still not been introduced to what is the ideal state, because we have been told that these are three. Out of the three, one is good, which is sattva. That which is not so good but is okay is what is rajas. At least it appears that way. And tamas is something which has to be avoided. It is there, but and all three are inside of us only. Meaning these gunas are working inside of us, but we are not conscious of these gunas. Sometimes people, when they are introduced to this, I had gone to one conference where I had to talk about nutritional psychiatry concepts, which in the Bhagavad Gita, I started talking about these three gunas. And one person said, I don't believe in the gunas. So what can you say? I said, do you get angry? Yes. Then that is Rajas gun. You don't call it Rajas, but you are getting angry. Then you don't say, I don't believe in getting angry. If you don't believe in getting angry, you get angry. That means you are not in control. So like that, these three gunas are functional. These are what we can call properties. Like these are universal properties which are present not just in Bharat, everywhere across the world. These three gunas are controlling us. Rajas guna comes inside of us. Desires start coming in. Desires control our thoughts, our actions. Sattva guna is there. You are likely to be peaceful. You are not likely to get provoked very easily. Rajasic person will get provoked. Tamasic person may not get provoked at all, but tamasic person will not really do any duty also. So he's not going to get provoked and is not going to do a duty as well. So all three gunas are at play at any given moment of time. One guna is dominant. That is what we can say is the most predominant guna in that person. So overall, a person might be sattvic, might be rajasic, might be tamasic. So let us see. And I think yesterday it was Vinita ji who had shared about something about diet also. Yes, what you eat has a bearing on your thinking, on what you are, how you are, perceiving the world also, or your physical actions also. That experience I had when I had biryani before a badminton match. That was the worst thing, going against the advice of my coach. And then I started sweating. My partner also started sweating. Both of us came to the court and we both saw each other on the net before the match started. And I'm already feeling tired. He also said yes. And that had actually affected our entire efficiency. An opponent who was not really such a difficult opponent turned out to be a big challenge for us. It was a close match. Luckily, we got successful. Otherwise, our coach would not have spared us. But this is what the food is. We have been advised to eat sattvic food, but no. There was a rajasic desire. Desire was for eating rajasic food only because it is rajas. So these we don't realize, they control us. The three gunas are what are dominating us. People don't realize this entire lives, they are governed by these gunas. So when the sattva guna is maximum, you are most likely to get a realization, a higher perception. We have seen there are what we can say beyond senses also there are perceptions, or forgetting even without senses. In our everyday life, we don't deal with extrasensory aspects, but we do deal with a lot of things where we need ideas, we need inspiration, we need some kind of determination. So all these what we can classify as higher or good influences, we are likely to receive when sattva guna is dominating. But what about rajas? When rajas dominates, extra possessiveness will come into the individual. That position will create jealousy. That position will create greed. That position will create a need to dominate somebody else. That will make you accumulate things, make you control things. We cannot control the storm, isn't it? Our world is having so many such forces which are absolutely beyond our control. But a Rajasic person, the I becomes most important in the Rajasic person. As far as tamas is one when a person is driven by delusion. He is in a trap, but he does not know he is in a trap. So you cannot really release that person until that person realizes. So tamasic person doesn't realize, and he does actions which are of importance, futile actions, meaning I have decided I want to construct a swimming pool in a desert. Will you call this a good idea or a bad idea? It's a bad idea. It's a tamasic idea only, because it's going to just waste resources. It is going to be nothing. So such actions, sometimes tamasic plans are done. There was one government, they decided to bring penguins into India in a climate where it's not going to be steady also. Or in Tamil Nadu also, there was one dolphin park which they made. So they got dolphins. How are the dolphins going to survive? All the dolphins, ultimately, some of them died, and remaining they had to release back. But it was a waste. It was a wasted project. It was a wasted project driven by probably Ahankar, but tamasic in its entire karma. All actions, they were just futile actions or important actions which were not having any sattvic light. If there was a little bit of sattvic light, the person would have understood. Let me study. Let me do a proper survey. Is it possible? All these things are left because the person is, I have the money, I have the resources, I will do what I please. Many times recently, I came to know of a big millionaires expedition to search a Titanic. What has happened there? Again, all safety norms flouted. What reason? Just, I want to do it. But it was a wrong action. The best of the scientists, all of them said it is not possible, but all were ignored. Why? There was a delusion. Nobody would want to kill himself or herself. But that delusion is what covers a person. This is Maya, where a person is trapped. And Maya traps all three types of gunas, meaning that is why even Sattva guna is sometimes having its limitation. Maya works with, we have seen a shloka, Devi Yesha Gunamair Maya. So through the gunas are, you are a medium for ensnaring us into Maya. And when we are ensnared by Maya, we cannot realize the truth. We cannot realize divine. We have to pierce through the veil of Maya to get the realization. So right now, we still don't know if these gunas we can free ourselves from the gunas. Right now, we are just seeing gunas controlling us. So the three gunas have been introduced. Now what happens, we'll see in the next shloka. Krishna talks about even the final moments. He says, Yada sattve pravruddhe tu pralayam yati deha bhrut tadottama vidam lokan amalan patipadyate. At the final moments, if sattva nature is in abundance, during the period of death, dissolution and ascendance, the being reaches the realm that is most fortunate, where dwell the highest knowledgeable souls, immaculate. So Krishna is saying, in the last moment, in the prayana kala, in that final moment also, if sattva nature is there, then that person is going to proceed ahead. Now we don't know the entire journey, but 8th Adhyay, do we remember seeing something about prayana kala and something about the journey? 8th Adhyay, anybody? Did we see anything? Yes? If you can recollect something? Yes, Chetraji. Yes, please.
Yeah, about how we can think of the divine so that we can get freed from
Yes,
this birth
absolutely.
cycle.
The cycle, isn't it, Chitraji? Also, we saw that yogis are not afraid of the last moment because they are focused on the divine. Yogis are conscious, so they are able to even choose the marga also, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
So when consciousness is highest, that is sattva. Yes, Badrin, thank you, Chitraji. Badrinaji wants to add? Yes, please. Yes, sir. Please unmute, Ji, if you want to add something.
Hello. Unless and until we are constantly thinking of the divine, it is not possible that at the moment of death we will ever think of him. So that is very important.
Okay, yes, we saw that. But Badrinaji, what guna is likely to make us think of the divine?
Hello.
Which guna do you think is required? Sattva guna only, absolutely. Yes. So here Krishna is saying at the final moments. Actually, I have seen one person so calm and peaceful in his last moment that he actually told my mother, I am passing. and Passing, as if she should know the spelling properly. He was just spelling it out. He was in a very bad shape. Everybody knew that there's no what we can say hope, and doctors had advised against taking him to the home. Forget anything else. They said, you keep him back in the ICU. We'll see what we can do. But we also can't do much, is what the doctor told. But this person said, I want to go back to Pondicherry, to my home, which I have built. I don't want to be in the hospital. So against all medical advice of the specialists, they got an ambulance from Chennai to Pondicherry. And in Pondicherry, he was in bed. And it was imagined that the moment he enters, if he manages also, that is sufficient. But he had nice 15 days of stay happily in his home. And one of the days when my mother had gone to meet, he was saying, I am passing and I am able to see. Like, this also his idea. He was not frustrated or he was flustered. So in the last moment, what we can see is, if a person, a yogi, that person is able to focus on the divine, then the ascendance is very easy, is what Krishna is saying. So not only is it talking about our life, probably afterlife as well, Sattva Guna is helping. Deepali ji wants to add something? Yes,
Yes.
please, Deepali ji.
Yesterday was the very auspicious day of Ashadi Ekadashi.
Ashadi.
And my father-in-law died yesterday
Okay.
in Indore during performing Dev Puja. And
Ji.
taking only name of Panduranga, and I want to see you. ऐसे बोलते बोलते उन्होंने अपना देह छोड़ दिया. पूजा करते करते ही छोड़ दिया. हाथ में उनके शंख था. और कल सुबह वो पूजा करते करते ही स्वर्गवासी हो गए. तो उसका ये एम था कि मैं लास्ट दिन तक पूजा करूं और पूजा में ही मेरा देहांत हो जाए. वो भगवान ने सुन लिया और आषाढ़ी एकादशी के दिन उनका स्वर्गवास हो गया. मोक्ष मिल गया शायद उनको.
मोक्ष. Yes, ये सही बात है. This is true, Deepali ji. This is and if Deepali ji, if you can just for a moment, if you can just share about your father-in-law, how was his nature ji as a individual?
उनकी परमेश्वर के ऊपर बहुत श्रद्धा थी. वो पूजा पाठ वो बहुत बहुत तन मन से कर रहे थे. और 88 years old थे वो.
Yes, and his behavior जी, in his behavior, how was he?
हाँ, behavior थोड़ा working time में उनका थोड़ा ये था, वो बहुत angry हुआ करते थे. लेकिन भी वो retirement के बाद
post retirement very calm and peaceful, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so we can say Sattvic Guna on the rise, isn't it, Deepali ji?
Yes.
Okay ji. Yes, actually Kavita ji also shared. I'll come to Om Prakash ji just now. Kavita ji was there in one more batch. She also shared a recent experience where her father only, he sang bhajans with his daughters, had Ganga Jal. They made them also take Ganga Jal. And in that quiet Shanti, it was like a progressive journey. And everybody was also not disturbed. Everybody was calm and peaceful. So that Sattva Guna is what we can see. Krishna is saying in the final moment. Om Prakash ji wants to add something. Yes, sir.
No, I just wanted from all of us to pray for the moksha of the departed soul.
Absolutely, ji. We'll pray for him and we'll also seek his Ashirwad, because it looks like he is a very high soul indeed. There was one more participant, she said about her grandmother that it was another Ekadashi, it was Vaikuntha Ekadashi. Like yesterday was Ashadi Ekadashi. So, and this lady told, my Vimana has come, and she left. After serving all the guests, she couldn't go to the temples, she couldn't go to other pilgrimages because of her duties in the house. She was very pious, everybody respected and revered her, but she could not do certain things which she wanted to do. So she did everything in the house, and she was a very pious lady. So when talking about her, she said that particular day she served all the guests. She came to me, she had finished her duties, and she just told me, my Vimana has come. And then she passed away after that. Maybe she actually saw this is a different realm. This is a realm which we can call extra human, beyond our human cognition, maybe. Or maybe when humanity raises its ability to perceive, then probably we will be able to understand it better. But here, as we saw, this Sattva Guna is something which Krishna is saying, not just in life, it's probably helping in the post-life journey as well. Well, let us see. What about Rajas? Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangishu jayate tatha pralinas tamasi mudhayonishu jayate. If Rajas abounds when the embodied being is passing away, the soul is born into the womb that seeks desire's way. And if Tamas is the dying soul's nature predominant, the being is reborn in the low womb of being ignorant. So whatever guna is there, that is getting carried forward. If you see, if you see the Adi Shankaracharya's this Nirvana Shatakam also, or Atma Shatakam, it talks about now this Pancha Koshas are also mentioned. There are these 5 sheaths, so it is said one by one. The Sharira Maya is there, then there is the Annamaya, there is so many other koshas are there. So one by one they get disintegrated as the soul starts moving forward. So whatever guna is there, that is affecting the journey. If we see Rajas is there, Rajas is going to make a person go into that desirous path only. If you look at the final moments, most of the time you can identify a yogi by the last moments. The last moment, mostly very calm and peaceful, it is most likely that person is a yogi who is in good control of his indriyas, is in good control of his inner self. That person generally the last moments are very peaceful also. No matter, I have come across so many people, even with very painful troubles, all of it. But the last moments are full, very shanta, it is unbelievable. How is it? What is it? My grandmother's case also was very strange. It was, she had edema, she had very bad swelling, a lot of pain. But in her last moment, somehow she also probably had Alzheimer's as well. We do not know exactly what it was. But her health was deteriorating and it looked like now there is no further chance. But when she was in the ICU, somehow she suddenly stopped feeling all the pain. She imagined that she was going to school. She would say, my teacher is waiting for me. I'm going to go, and on my party, she's going to, that time the slates were there. So on my slate, she's going to write something and give me. Or suddenly she just moved, she said, move your hand. Let me put a little bit of salt, because she liked doing a lot of cooking. So somebody's marriage is going on and she is cooking for someone. That was her visualization. So she did not suffer, though her body was going through a lot of pain. But that physical pain was not connected with her suffering, and it was a very peaceful journey. But Rajasic nature does not allow that. Rajasic nature creates the frustration. So the person, until the last moment, also the person will carry the frustration. He'll say, no, I have these many shares, they will go to this person, they will not go to this person. This person must not come, this person should not get this. I am going to give this person only this much. Let that person realize he's not good to me. I will now see to it. These are all calculative thoughts, depressing thoughts, disturbing thoughts. That is what Rajas does. And Tamasic guna is, again, tamas is a delusion. So that is the last moment. Means unlike yogis, sometimes when people's last moments is suddenly they leave sometimes with their mouth open, or suddenly eyes wide open, or these are all different ways of departures. It depends on the guna, is what Krishna is saying. And that also affects the journey. So if somebody is not learned from life experience and is still Rajasic, it is still having all these forces inside, still having desires, still having so much wishes which are unfulfilled, what's going to happen? The journey is not complete. The person has to continue. So that Rajas guna will probably remain with that being, and again the person has to complete and go through experiences to shed that as well. Same with tamas. Tamasic, whatever guna is there, that guna is carried forward, is what Krishna is saying. The 16th shloka, unless does somebody want to ask something? No. All right, we'll go to the 16th shloka. Karmanaha sukrutasyahu satvikam nirmalam phalam rajasastu phalam dukkham ajnanam tamasaha phalam. So even in the works that are performed, the guna and the stamp is clearly visible. A sattvic person's actions will be in a proper manner, done in a correct manner. Why does a sattvic person do the action? Not because he wants it or he is strongly desiring to do it, because he understands that he or she needs to do it. It is like a duty. The person does it. So what is a duty? Is it only certain aspects? No, every aspect. You ask the sattvic person to fold a blanket, also the sattvic person will fold the blanket in a right manner. It will be done consciously. Actions, small actions also or big actions also. The stamp of Sattva Guna will be visible. So let us see. When the works are performed in Sattva's light, the fruits are pure as the mode of action is right. So the karma phala also, what happens out of a right action? You plant a right seed, you give good nourishment to the plant, you grow it well, you've taken care of the soil, everything is right, then what's going to happen? The right fruits will manifest, isn't it? Best quality mango pips have been put inside. They have been cultivated properly and it is now grown into a tree with a lot of care regularly. And then what's going to happen? When the season comes, you will get mangoes only. You cannot expect pineapples or you'll say, I want apples. No, the action is this. The action will bring the karma phala. Means that aspect is there. A karma will lead to karma phala. Improper karma will lead to improper karma phala. Vikarma will lead to vikarma phala, something like that. These karmas are going to remain, but a sattvic person's actions are mostly driven by this nature of sattva guna. So the fruits are also that way only. They are pure. They're not going to cause a kind of disturbance. Basically, why will a sattvic person have jealousy? Yes or no? No. Will he have greed? Will he have desire? No, it will also, such action is mostly likely to be a selfless action or an action which is going to lead to some betterment. Means in a society, he has taken up a role. So that person will be an unbiased person doing the works of the society. Somebody he has met or he has not met also, he'll do his work right and immediately other members will definitely get benefited and he'll also get the good wishes from everyone because the action was done in a proper manner. But what about Rajas? All works done in Rajas state bring only pain. It's unfortunate because pain comes because of unfulfillment of expectations. And problem with expectations is they don't end. You start having one it's like desire only. One desire leads to second, second leads to third, third to fourth. Sometimes it's like somebody's, when they are parents, when they plan a wedding, they do all the best arrangements also. Everything is perfect. Still, somebody finds something to complain. Something like that. If the person is completely dependent and is not worried about the happiness of the children, but is having a Rajasic desire that everybody should praise me, such a person, what is he going to experience? Even the best wedding in the world will create a sorrow and pain only because, see, that person talked like this. There was a nice story where one father arranged for gold coins for everybody to be picked up after the wedding. While going, everybody can pick up gold coins. He wanted to ensure that nobody will tell anything bad about my daughter's wedding. So he arranged that much also, did all the spending he could. And next day, he wanted to ask, were there any complaints? He said, yes, lot of people complained. What? The vessel from which they had to take out the gold coins had a small mouth. So people could pull out only. The desires are like this in humans. Human nature is this way that desire will not get over. It will just go on. Smaller desire is replaced by a bigger desire. Same way, if your satisfaction is connected with gratification of desire, you are never going to be satisfied at all because that dissatisfaction will permanently remain and that will again bring pain. Sometimes out of greed, people do certain things. They do wrong karma and that causes hurt to themselves or their dear ones or their near ones. So Rajasic actions lead to pain. But what about tamas? Tamas is, yesterday somebody talked about politicians. Absolutely, they don't care about anybody. Sometimes it looks like they don't even care about themselves, whether they want to become politicians, remain in the field or no. Again and again, they keep doing the same tamasic action. Sometimes from political angle also, they don't think. Why? Because driven only by ignorance. So that is tamas. Krishna says, but ignorance results in tamas's actions vain. These actions are useless. These actions are absolutely vain. Let us continue. Krishna goes on. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha evacha pramada mohau tamaso bhavato jnana mevacha. From sattva alone, true gnosis comes. From sattva, the real knowledge comes. You get a realization. Means so far what we have seen, sattva looks to be on the top. We haven't found too many difficulties or anything bad about Sattva, except somewhere once Krishna has told, it is also bound by happiness. Sattva is having a limitation, but it's not a bad limitation. Happiness is not bad, but it is a limitation, is what Krishna has told. From Sattva alone, true gnosis comes, while with Rajas, the being only greedy becomes. So what's Rajas going to make? Rajas is just going to increase greed. Rajas is going to make a person more greedy. More and more Rajas, that is all. I've got wonderful 3 shoes. It's time to get 300 more. That is what Rajas is going to tell me. Because I want to have a collection of shoes which was never there by anybody. These are all some vain desires people have for so many things. We cannot even imagine. There is no limit also to the desires of people. So that greed of acquiring more and more, that is Rajas. But tamas, what does tamas do? Tamas brings forth ignorance's illusion. The negligent being dwells in a state of delusion. So if at all there is a guna which we really don't want inside of us, it is tamas. Because tamas will put us in a place where we are going to be in a complete delusion. We will not realize it. This is the biggest trap. It is the worst trap where you don't know you are wrong. If you don't know you are wrong, you'll never be able to correct yourself. And that's what tamas is doing. Krishna goes on, he says, Urdhvam gacchanti sattvastha madhye tishtanti rajasaha jaganya guna vrittistha adho gacchanti tamasaha. So the embodied ones in sattva upward ascend. So what's going to happen for the person who's cultivated sattva guna? Such a person is going to rise. He's going to raise in consciousness. It's a natural thing. Karma phala. Like that, sattva guna has been cultivated, then that person's consciousness will only rise. Those in rajas remain in the middle, but do not descend. Meaning, rajasic force also will help in action. Sometimes I am going to do this work. Nobody does it like me, so I will do the work. I have to show everybody. So such a person will at least do some work, isn't it? But because the person is doing for showing somebody else, the person is not going to get the real understanding or the real experience or the real joy of doing the work. So the person will not excel, but will remain in the middle. Vehicle will move ahead, but up to a particular limit only. That's the same thing, isn't it? If we work for somebody's praise, what will happen? You will work only till you get the praise. The day you stop getting praise, you will stop doing. Sometimes people say, I cooked such a wonderful food. Nobody told me anything. Now I'm going to stop cooking. Why? Because I wanted others to praise me. That's why I was cooking. So that's a rajasic nature. But otherwise, the sattvic nature, I think we just look at our parents or mothers or sometimes fathers if they cook. How is it? Well, they don't expect every time what we do. They just cook and we enjoy, and sometimes we quickly eat and we don't even respond. I think childhood, I was a very useless child. I would just enjoy the food and not even compliment my mother. She would cook all the time, but it was like something I took for granted. Now I remember, and then yes, I think sometimes I should go. I want to eat aloo paratha, and before I eat also I compliment that I got a good smell. And the first bite reminds me of so many things. But that she's never done it. She did not do it because she wanted some praise or something in return. That is why probably she's able to make the best aloo parathas in the world, because she's reached that state through her understanding. So something like that, when we have the sattva guna inside of us, when sattva guna will help us rise, rajas guna will keep us in middle, meaning it will not help you, it will not make you descend. But tamas guna is worst because the negligent being dwells in a state of delusion, meaning there's going to be a descent. Whatever status was there, even lower, the person will lose the consciousness, will become worse. Yes, Deepaliji wants to add something. Yes, please.
Here the meaning of madhya tishtanti rajasaha, madhya means on the earth.
Madhya in the middle, ji.
Middle means where?
Middle is, if you see, आगे भी नहीं बढ़ेगा, पीछे भी नहीं बढ़ेगा, बीच में रहेगा.
So on the earth or not?
No, means if you are calling heaven, sattvic guna person will go to heaven.
Okay.
It's not like that. It is the movement, progression.
Okay.
In terms of progression.
Okay.
Madhya is the middle. Madhya is in Sanskrit meaning middle only, ji. Not here, not there. Not ascension, neither descension. Neutral. Rajas will give karma. Is it okay, Dipaliji, what I have told?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, fine. Yes, Shivaji wants to add something?
I mean, it looks like from 15 to 17 the slokas, it looks like the rebirth is going to be in the tamasic or rajasic state. Sattvic is fine. So
Yes,
is there no
yes.
salvation for these the people with these dominant gunas? Because they will always be remaining in that state, isn't it? Without satsangs or
No,
without
they get a chance. The chance presents itself. Nature presents a chance. Prakriti also. What we understand is there is a game of Prakriti at play. There is a design which is taking place. So if you see, all these moments are nature also are giving a chance for a person who is tamasic to come out of tamasic nature, for a rajasic person to come out of rajasic nature. And we saw example of Valya becoming Rishi Valmiki, meaning even completely tamasic person can suddenly become transformed also, because again, what is darkness? But darkness is but a shadow of light only, isn't it? So maybe from the deepest part also suddenly the person can go. So there is hope for all. Means that is one thing. But whatever karmas are done and the person is carrying forward what the person has done, that is what it's talking about. The karma bandhana is there. Karma bandhana takes a person ahead. Sattvic person has greatest chance for moksha. But probably then now a lot of Sattvic people need to be born for cleaning up the worlds with. So maybe they should also deny the moksha and keep coming back to bring about a universal transformation. But we don't know. Let us see. Yes. Hari Om. Krishna goes on. He says, Nanyam gunebhyaha kartaram yadi drashtanupashyati gunebhyascha param veti mad bhavam so dhikachati. Now Krishna tells something. He says, when the divine being attains the realization, I'll come to you, Om Prakash ji. I just saw your hand now. When the divine being attains the realization of nature's threefold modular operation and of the Supreme who is beyond nature, towards me he turns and attains my stature. I'll look at one more shloka and come to Om Prakash ji. So when that being, when that divine one attains the realization, when the sakshatkar comes, to that individual, Krishna is calling such a person a divine person who has got that realization and understands what? He understands these three modes are at play. And there is a Supreme who is even beyond the three modes. Meaning this right now we are not getting realization, we are reading or we are listening. So probably we are getting a small understanding, or we can say, I think when we search something on Google, do we call it realization? No, we call it information. So when that information is processed, it translates into what we call understanding. And from our understanding, when we get an experience, probably when we do it, then that understanding translates into realization. So like that, even if we now understand there is a Supreme, that is something. But when we go one more step beyond understanding and we realize the presence who is of this Supreme, who is even beyond the three gunas, that person turns towards the divine and even attains the stature of the divine. It's like Tukaram's statement. He said, I went to see God. I didn't know when I became God. Now, this was not Ahankar. He was not Ahankar. He was a great one. He was a liberated one. It was the experience that he got. And the experiences others got around him also. So, it's like I went to see God and I became. That was his realization. That is why all of his life story is also interesting. India has n number of saints everywhere. Go length, breadth across the country. You will go to any village, you will find one yogi, one Divyatma. So Krishna says, human being also reaches a status which is what is divine. He goes on further. Gunanetan natitya trindehi deha samudbhavan janma mrityo jara dukkhair vimukto mruta mashnute. Rising upwards, the embodied soul is elevated. When from the nature's triple bondage, it is liberated. From birth, death, old age and disease, the suffering, mortal, the soul is freed. and attains to the immortal. So here Krishna is saying, this is also a hint that when Prakriti's rules can be even bent, rules of Prakriti can be bent. This is something which many bhaktas get the experience also sometimes when they see suddenly things which are breaking normal rules. Prabhu ko niyam badalte dekha. Well, here Krishna is saying it is this consciousness. When a person is freed from this triple nature, such a person, he is also free from these sufferings which are of birth, death, old age, and disease. These four sufferings only are what we call mortal, isn't what make us mortal. The moment you become free from the suffering of all of these, such a person is not going to be disturbed by anything, will experience a taste of what is an immortal consciousness. That's what Krishna is talking about. So there's something about three gunas, and he's talked about going beyond the three gunas. We'll go to Om Prakash ji, and then we'll just see one question which will come from Arjuna as well. Yes, Om Prakash ji, what were you saying? Ji, sir.
No, I just one about the last shloka only. That you said that sometimes the sattvic person also has to take a rebirth to do some.
Yes. That was just a perspective I just shared. That was what.
The nature doesn't happen in the next birth.
Yes. Sorry, ji.
Hello.
Yes, ji. Yes, ji. Yes, ji. Your next.
When
Your
he
life.
takes the rebirth,
Yeah.
hello,
Yeah.
when he takes the rebirth, it doesn't happen that his sattvic gun gets lowered down to rajas or that.
No, there's no way of verifying that actually. That is the problem, Om Prakash ji. We cannot exactly see that. But what we have seen is, again, since I talked about Tukaram had told that, give me one more birth. He had said, Tukamani Amasi, Sukhe Ghalave Garbhavasi. Give me another birth. But he got moksha is what happened. Different thing happened because it's like human can decide up to certain extent only. Ultimately, there is a higher will at play. So we don't really know, but most likely, as if we see by the what we can understand, if we are trying to use our logic, what we see is probably the gunas are getting carried forward. So maybe, but maybe if Sattvic Guna, this person has never done something with Rajas, and that is still remaining for the experience to be taken, then that person might take a birth. We do not know that. It's actually very interesting why things like that happen. But so in Bhagavatam and all, we have sometimes logics of why things happened, why Rama had to go for exile, or then why Krishna went so many years away from his mother. Then the link is established there that see, in Rama birth, you had only sent me away. So in this birth, you had to experience this. So like that logic we can probably give to satisfy ourselves maybe, but exactly it will only be Sakshatkar which will answer that question. So that was just a perspective that I talked about rebirth and all. It's nice to come back on earth. If complete nahi hua hai, to let us do something nice for the world. That could be a good aspiration. So with this, we stop here for now, just for a minute. I just wanted to ask was, what do you think about these three gunas and transcending of these three gunas that Krishna has talked about? Because this is a very vague aspect which Krishna has told, meaning immortal consciousness, or this person is getting free from Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Somewhere else he is told these are experiences of nature. Now he's talking about transcending nature. So what do you think? Anybody, if you can just, so we just have an open-ended discussion for maybe 2-3 minutes and then quickly go back into the Adhyay. What do you think about this three gunas? Anyone? Transcending of three gunas. Or if this discussion is, or if, what was Krishna's guna? Anybody? If you want, what is Rajas, Tamas or Sattva? What would you say?
Gunadit.
He was Gunatit, no, isn't it, Shardaji?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is what Krishna is probably wanting Arjuna to also understand, isn't it? He was Gunatit, meaning beyond the gunas. But what can, if as of now, Krishna has not explained, he will explain in this Adhyay only. But from our logic of understanding, What can this Gunatit be? If we just want to imagine, anybody, what will Gunatit
We
be?
should be balanced. Maybe we should be balanced.
Okay, Shardaji is saying maybe balanced is a generalized word, isn't it? Like parents also say, don't get angry, be calm. But in terms of gunas, how do you say balanced means?
It may be as and when required, you should apply it.
Okay, Dheerajji is saying as and when. Apply what, Dheerajji?
As and when required, the qualities means when you are in a battlefield, you should be having the enthusiasm to fight. When you are doing the
Okay.
puja, you should be calm and quiet.
Okay.
Like that way, you should use your guna as and when it is needed. Means
Okay, Dheerajji
exploring
is
it.
given. Okay, that's a nice perspective. Shivaji wants to add?
Yeah, I think since Krishna is Gunatit, I think it probably means because all the three gunas have limitations, we need to probably go beyond the three gunas and not stick to being sattvic even. I mean, progress
Okay.
along sattvic and go beyond that.
Okay. But since Shivaji, what about Krishna? You say he was, if we see Gunatit, but as of now, we don't know what Gunatit is. So if in a language of gunas, which we understand, which guna will you attribute to Krishna?
I mean, as of probably sattvic, is it?
Probably Sattvic. Have you
Yes.
seen that painting of Krishna having a wheel in his hand directed at Bhishma?
Yes.
Bhishma is just, his hands are, he's letting, okay, Krishna is going to kill me, I'll get moksha, it's okay. So, but that time, does he look Sattvic or does he look a little Rajasic then?
A little Rajasic, yes.
Rajasic. Okay, Krishna looks Rajasic that time. Then there was a battle, isn't it, where Krishna ran away. They called him Ranchod. That name has come to him because he's actually telling Arjuna, don't leave the battle. But there was a battle where Krishna ran away. So now if you look at it from this is actually just from a purely what we can say, just a perspective of gunas. It seems like it is probably tamasic running away from action, isn't it?
Yeah.
It does seem like that, meaning looks Rajasic also, looks Sattvic also, looks tamasic also, but he was not Rajasic. He was more than Sattvic, and definitely he was not tamasic. So he was Gunatit, but for Gunatit definition, when we perceive, we will perceive it according to probably the understanding of our gunas only, because we understand gunas, but there is something which is beyond. Let us see now, because this topic of Gunatit throws a question in the mind of Arjuna after a long time, which is good for us. He asks a question. Arjuna is asking Krishna. Yes, Gayatri wants to add something. Yes, Gayatri.
No, I just wanted to ask one query. All these avatars means Vishnu's 10 incarnations or Datta Guru's incarnations. All they are Gunatit only, na?
Yes. The avatars, the divine is completely Gunatit.
They are beyond these three gunas and
yes, but they probably displayed a guna while performing, like we saw. It looked like a guna. The Parshuram, how was he? Agratas Chaturo Veda Prushtadaha Sharasandanu Idam Brahmam Idam Kshatram Shapadapi Sharadapi. I will kill with my Shrap also. I'll kill my weapon with my weapon also. I have 4 Vedas in front of me and behind me as my weapon, my Dhanu and my axe. I will. That was how he was displaying. But we know that the moment the Sri Rama and Parshurama interaction comes, immediately, suddenly, how is Sattva Guna rising? Or what was the Parshurama doing? He was doing a part in the evolution, isn't it? Of the avatarhood also. There's a symbolism in each of the states, everywhere. If you see Durvasa Rishi, somebody will say Rajasic Rishi. But how is a Rishi Rajasic? How is he a Rishi if he is getting angry? Because Rishis are supposed to have control. So what was happening is he was using his nature. He did not throw away his nature, but he aligned with the divine consciousness, so that nature also was working. If you see in certain saints in India, they were known to utter swear words also. There were saints who were uttering swear words. It was like, and the bhaktas would receive the swear words as if they are receiving floral prasada only. Because that swear word will fall onto them and they would get transformed. But in language, anybody would say who has not seen the divinity or not experienced, why is this person like that? So the person was actually beyond it, but on the manifesting part, the person would see only one part. Yes, Om Prakash ji wants to share something and we'll quickly go after Om Prakash ji. into the question.
No, I just wanted to dwell on the same subject because there is no absolute measure for any guna as such.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So maybe some of us also could be,
Yes.
Gunatis
It's-
also. I mean,
Absolutely. Many of us, we actually have our natures. Gita is not asking us to crush our nature. What's going to happen if somebody who is very excited and who is having a lot of energy, best kabaddi player, best football player, lot of wonderful in school, and he goes to college also, does wonderful work, but he gets a job of, and he's making a lot of sounds and everything. But even in music, when he takes part, he always heavy metal music only. But imagine our first job that he gets, librarian, don't make noise. If he's asked to do that, what's going to happen? If such a person is put into the library, either that person will run out of the library or the library will catch a fire, isn't it? Because that person is not having that tendency. So this person will have to find something according to his tendency. So maybe that is why we are not rejecting all three gunas. We will have to work through the gunas that are provided to us. They have been given to us. We have not chosen. We have not chosen the gunas. If I am peaceful, I shouldn't take a lot of pride in that I am peaceful. That can be my limitation also. Because I didn't do anything to earn it and I got it from beginning. Where I was supposed to raise my voice, I will not raise it. That will be useless. Better to have a Rajasic person who has raised his voice at an important time and troubled at other times. That's okay. So what guna is where, that we must understand. It is important. But now let us see. That is why gunatit is important. Guna is not important. So we should not be attached to our gunas also. Not use any guna as a excuse for running away from the truth. To realize that, we have to go to the higher state, what is required. And that time it is beautiful. I think in our engineering, we had something called mechanical advantage, meaning lightest force given in the right direction will give maximum return. Any machine is designed which is having maximum mechanical advantage or greater efficiency, that is considered best. So like that, our actions, our karmas also must lead to something good. They should not go elsewhere. For that, we need to understand what is the nature which is beyond these three gunas. Otherwise, we are still trapped. Sattvic person will be trapped with around Sattvic people. All the Sattvic people will together remain in that Sattvic bubble. Rajasic will remain in a Rajasic bubble. Tamasic person will remain there. But Satya is outside of the bubble. When will the person come out? Unless the person comes out, he will not be able to realize it.
So can we say that? Like in those examples, Krishna was actually controlling the gunas to further his purpose, as opposed to us being controlled by the gunas, isn't it?
Absolutely. He was controlling. That is why he was able to smile. When his hero had tamasic nature, we saw the first part where Krishna it was said, Prahasanniva Bharata. Meaning he's talking to Arjuna in the middle of the battlefield. When Arjuna is depressed, the charioteer is turning to Arjuna with a slight smile on his face. Thinking, Areva, you have become suddenly intellectual. From where has this intellectual knowledge come inside of you, Arjuna? So there, how can he smile? Because he understands, abhi iske andar tamas chal raha hai. I will have to take it out. He will become the hero which he is. Meaning he understands what's happening, so he can do the proper treatment. So that is why Gunati is important. In life also, when we deal with people, you are having an argument with somebody is telling something, you are like this. Your Rajas Guna is getting irritated. I have done so much and see this person is talking like this. You add some more fuel to the fire. Then it will become inferno. Both people will get burnt. Instead, be quiet. You understand this is Tamas speaking. He is going to now talk like Arjuna only. He is going to talk about Varna Sankara. He is going to talk about this Mitra Droha, everything. Let it be. Wait. One more Adhyay will come and Satvik Guna will start. So let us wait. So when that person is calm, peaceful, you don't have to say that person only will come. I'm sorry, I told what I said yesterday. I didn't mean to say it. That time also should be quite okay. This is Sattvic Guna inside. We don't know, it will again become Rajasic anytime. So you can be Gunatit and handle situations better. So right now, this is just a simplified version of what really Gunatit is. It is actually a yogic state. Let us see now Arjuna's question, because Krishna will answer that question. Arjuna Uvacha, Kairlingais Trin Gunan, Etan Atito Bhavati Prabho, Kimacharaha katham chaitams trin gunanati vartate. Arjuna asked, what are the signs that one can see? What are the actions of that soul free? The triple natures, how does one ascend? Oh Lord, answers to these questions, please extend. So he's a sadhak's question only he's asking. He's saying, tell me, Krishna, how can I identify a person who is Gunatit? Tell me, what kind of karma does such a Gunatit person perform? How does a person become Gunatit? Please tell me these three things, is requesting Krishna. It's a good question because it's also our question. Let us see. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Prakasham cha pravrittim cha mohameva cha pandava na dveshti sampravrittani na nivrittani kankshati. O Arjuna, Sattva's enlightened mode of action, Rajas's work impulsion, and Tamas's delusion. He who neither detests nor shirks away, nor desires these vehicles of nature in any way. Krishna is saying the enlightened mode of sattvic action, or the work impulses of rajas, or tamas delusion, somebody who is neither detesting it nor means there's no hatred inside of the person for any of these gunas, nor is a person getting attached to it. Such a person who is understanding that these are just madhyams, these gunas are also mediums only for something. So you are neither hating it nor you are getting infatuated by it. So you are remaining in the middle. Such a person is what Krishna is saying. Sometimes hatred is a big problem, isn't it? Hatred really makes us close our eyes from things which are very obvious also. What we can understand also we forget. Now, one small example I can think of dvesha. Sometimes food also, food types, we will see later on what Krishna is talking about. But about food types also, we should not have dvesha of somebody else's food type, isn't it? Ultimately, it is somebody else's. If you have dvesha, you can have dislike. You don't like it, don't go and do what you don't like. It's all right. But when you have hatred, it creates a repulsion on the inside. And that is difficult for a person's sadhana. Even in Vishwarupa, Krishna said, don't have hatred. Fight Duryodhana. Aim that your arrow will pierce the heart of Duryodhana. But don't have hatred for Duryodhana, because hatred will not allow you to rise. Hatred will not allow the divine to work. One simple example I can think of is in Damleji's place, we had a German Shepherd. His name was Rishi. So for him, he was like a wolf only, and he had to get, his food is not vegetarian food. So for him, we had to feed non-vegetarian food. Nobody would eat non-veg, but for him, there was a separate container and we would cook food for him and he would be given. So one student came to Damleji and he was very interested. I want to do something for Rishi. I want to feed him. So he said, okay, come. What are you doing? Then he saw him cooking. Now he was a vegetarian and he didn't like what he saw. And he said, yes. And now we give him rice with this. We have to break the pieces of the meat and then mix it. Otherwise, he'll only eat the meat. He doesn't eat the rice. We have to give him good nutrition. He immediately looked at Damleji and he said, I am a Brahmin. I cannot touch it. As if Damleji is also a Brahmin. The way he told it to him, immediately he said, pack your bag, get up, you can go home. Because he had come for learning. And this person is, he said, Damleji just told him. No, I think I said something wrong. That time, he said, no, if you're having hatred, I don't think you can do anything. You cannot progress. That was all he told him. And then immediately, no. Am I asking you to eat it? He said, no. What are you doing? You're feeding somebody else. And it is a food for that person, for that individual, that living being. So you cannot have hatred for somebody else's food. You are not eating it, don't eat at all. No, never will you be asked to eat it also. So this hatred was inside of him, and then immediately he did it beautifully. And then that time onwards, he has only told that inside of his mind, one big block, a thought block, which was always there, that got changed. One more mother shared in the class that daughter and mother had almost gone into the opposite because of food types only. Means mother wanted daughter to become vegetarian, which is good, fine. But she had so much hatred that the daughter started having strong dislike, and they were both not seeing eye to eye with each other. So much that even the husband was non-vegetarian, so she was feeling all left out. And the daughter and her father would always tease and everything. But this lady had such a big problem that she started developing a kind of big distance, and she said a line was being drawn which she was not able to tolerate. And she was having tears. Now, for us, it looks like a silly small thing, but for her, she had tears in her eyes because it was a big problem. What should I do? Should I leave my nature? I say you should never leave your nature. What you like, you do. And it's the right thing. You aspiring for something biologically. Also, people sometimes say body is much more conducive for digesting vegetarian food. So it's fine. You are having those thoughts. It's all right. But you cannot hate what your daughter is eating, at least to that point that you are going to draw a wedge between each other. That should not happen. It looks so simple, isn't it? Food types should not create any such divide. But even that created a divide. I said just one thing, at least stop looking like somebody is making you eat. If she is eating, just remember you are her mother. You have tried telling her, she's not listened. Now you have to accept and move on. And she finally allowed her to eat on the same table without what we can say, showing puking reactions or speaking anything bad about it. She didn't like it. But 1 year down the line, her daughter became vegetarian on her own. But what was happening was a big line, that hatred. So we should not have hatred. We should not have hatred for anything, anybody, any kind of, preferences also. That prevents us from rising. That's what Krishna is saying. Don't desire, don't detest. Both of these have to be let go. Udasina vadasino gunairyo na vichalyate guna vartanta ityevam yovatishtati nengate. He who remains firm and witnesses quietly. Sakshi bhava is a very important bhava aspect in sadhana. Becoming the sakshi in your life, observing how things are moving, observing how near and dear ones are also behaving. If you can be like a sakshi, you can actually observe things which are even behind, which are not directly visible. Many times people speak something and then they do something else behind, isn't it? When we are unconscious, we don't realize it. But sometimes when you understand, when you are very alert, you can quickly understand. This is something my teacher had told, and he would correctly identify what is happening. This person is speaking this, but his heart is elsewhere, or her heart is somewhere else. This person is going to do something different. Sure enough, that would happen. Right? Even once, how did you understand? Did you have clairvoyance? Did you have a vision that this person will do? Said no, just by observing, you can observe. Just by observing, you can understand. It's so important. In our factory also, we understand by the reaction and behavior of the person that this person is going to leave the work. Even if the one particular worker was with us for nearly 10 years. Not once did we think, it was actually somebody we had also loved that worker so much. We wanted that person to take more roles of responsibility also. We were training that person slowly. Suddenly, one day, one different reaction came from that person, which was a very normal event, and regarding something with our quality control which we were doing, the person just gave a reaction where that person was showing some irritation about doing a work. Immediately, since in 10 years we had not seen this, we saw that this person is, I reported to my teacher that this was a strange reaction, which was strange from this person. Somebody else had done it, new person had done it, it would have been acceptable, but this person has done it. Looks like there is something different going on. Sure enough, within 10 days, that person actually had tears. Then later on, she tried to say, I was trying to mask my departure under something else. But no, I really want to leave because of this reason, not because of other reasons which I was trying to say. Meaning, if you observe, you can understand. So Sakshi Bhava is one more. From Gunatit, one thing Krishna told is, don't desire, don't hate. Understand these are all Rajas, Tamas, Sattva, all three are games. Understand that, don't hate it. That's it. Here, Krishna says, he is firm on the inside. That is important. That dhruti, that determination. Sometimes you should be ready to even fight against the entire world. One friend of mine from UP, I think MP, yes, this person, he got insulted by the Vice Chancellor, and insulted in a very bad manner. He decided that this is wrong. He even resigned from several posts. He said, now I am this has crossed the limit. This Vice Chancellor is corrupt and I will not spare this Vice Chancellor. Now, where is Vice Chancellor's post and where is the post ordinary one individual who is a student, who is doing a PhD program? But the determination of such a person was firm, he is very clear on his action. Within a short period of 2 months, the Vice Chancellor has resigned. How can that happen? Well, newspapers started covering all what he said. Vice Chancellor made different mistakes, tweeting against him, going against certain policies of whatever rules, everything. So determination is important. So you want to become Gunatit, at least recognize that in your life that I want to become Gunatit. I don't want to become trapped. I don't want to be trapped by these 3 gunas in my life. I don't want to be limited by my own birth nature. I want to transcend and become something beyond. So determination is important. Then the Sakshi Bhav is also important. Seated well above, he who remains firm and witnesses quietly. Seated well above the triple modes nonchalantly. Indifferently, you are sitting and observing all the 3 gunas work. Like what we call autopilot, isn't it? Aeroplanes, when they try many times, the pilot is not always operating constantly. Autopilot mode is activated. So what does the pilot do? Only when required, the pilot intervenes. He says, no, the coordinates are changing. I need to now intervene. Looks like certain other variables are there. I want to intervene. So such a person who is determined, who is rising beyond the 3 gunas, and he is participating quietly. Understanding, knowing all occurrences to be in sync with nature's way, detached and immobile, he observes the forces play. Such a person is able to watch the forces play. Just like the example I talked about, one teacher getting angry and shouting at so many students, students getting disturbed because why did I get shouted at unfairly? What wrong did I do? This is not good. I got shouted unfairly. Somebody else, one more person has watched that this teacher actually banged the head on the wall. That is why Rajasic Guna has come into that person. And that Rajas Guna has got dissipated elsewhere. Such a person will not worry about unfairness. He will understand this person is just cranky and I don't need to give too much importance to what is being told. What that Rajasic person is speaking may not have a bearing on me because it is just Rajasic nature at play. So such a person is less likely to get disturbed. So such a person, what if we want to just look at once more and just say is this firm, who is a Sakshi, who is above the triple modes, understanding this is the way of nature, how things are moving. He's watching the play of forces, not just on the outside, on the inside also. Forces work inside of us also, just as we say they work in others. That does not insulate us from the forces. Forces work inside of us. So if you're able to watch, you're going to easily become Gunatit. I'll just give one small example of this. Was Damleji in a factory only I can think of. This is one of the best examples for Gunatit for me. Is so in there was this was nearly maybe 20 years ago. The story is there. That time, one of the staff's husband, the lady, mostly staffs were women folk only, uneducated women folk. They are only mostly in the factory we do the manufacturing, drying and of herbs and other activities. Her husband came to the factory door. Person was a drunkard, known abuser. He would beat his wife. It was known 2-3 times Damleji had observed, but since it was an internal matter which she did not want to talk about, he could not directly approach the subject. But he had come onto the gate of the factory in a state of drunkenness and started shouting, hurling abuses at his wife and calling her out. Now, is this tolerable? Can this be tolerated? No. And Damleji was a wrestler also. And he was having this, what we can say, a lot of force inside. So everybody got worried now what is going to happen. And Damleji felt, because the workplace is like a temple, it's a sacred place. So somebody has come to defile this temple and I will not spare him. He started walking with all the force and he was going to probably do a Dhobi Pachad only. He was going to raise him and something. He went with the intention of giving him a lesson which would have probably involved physically teaching him something. He went straight at him and he raised his hand also to hit him only. Something happened in that moment. Instead of hitting him, he just touched his head. Like a father touches the head of a child. He just touched his head. Hand was raised for some other purpose. But since he was conscious of the forces at play, he suddenly touched his head quietly, moved his hand over his head, and just shook his hand like this. And he just, what little Tamil he spoke that time, he said, "This is not good." That's all he told him. But this person looked like he got a current only, electric shock. He was shaken so much, and he staggered a bit and went back home. He did not come back. That's all. Nobody knows anything what happened that day. Everybody was surprised. Why did he not? He raised his hand but did not hit. Nobody understood. But next day, that lady came, means the husband's wife. She came and told that, "Ayya, my husband has asked forgiveness from me. He's asking your forgiveness. He has said that your Ayya is a very divine person. I will never come to this place again. I will not trouble you also. I will not trouble anybody at your workplace also. I will not come." So look at this, what has happened here. Meaning, when you are conscious, you know, sometimes God whispers in our ears what needs to be done. We don't have to do much calculations, but we have to be aware. So that witness bhava is important. Gunatit, how to become best? Ask Krishna. Krishna, you do what you want to. I will become your instrument. I will do the karma to the best of my knowledge. Only I will not get carried away by the gunas. That is all that we have to think of. Then we might do anything that is, what we can say, sometimes beyond our capacity also. So observe the forces play. We have just 4 more shlokas. We'll just look at it. We'll complete. Oh no, it's time. Okay, then I will just conclude here. I'll stop with 1 more shloka. 24th shloka. Sama dukkha sukha swasthaha samaloštashma kanchanaha tulya priya priyo dhiraha tulya nindatma sanstutihi. Who dwells in the self, poised and still. In both joy and sorrow, he remains tranquil. Stone, mud, or gold, all as one he treats. Praise or blame, friends and foe alike, he greets. So, such a person who is remaining immersed in the inner self, understanding I am more than this situation. I am something which is higher. I have a consciousness inside of me, which is innately divine. Somebody who is conscious of that, such a person will not get carried away easily. He is going to remain balanced, both in joy and sorrow, good moments and sad moments. They are a part of life, isn't it? Sometimes your happiest moment is surrounded with some bad moment also. So in joy and sorrow, somebody who remains tranquil. Stone, mud, or gold, all as one he treats. Stone, mud, and gold, treating them as one. Can someone quickly tell me what does that mean? Stone, mud, and gold. Does it mean I can send you my address and ask you to send all the gold that you have? I will replace it with good quality mud or good quality stone because they are equal. What is the meaning of these triple natures? I mean, looking at these stone, mud, or gold as one. We have come across this before in the Gita, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes,
each has its own use. That's what
each
we
has
came
its
up
own
with.
value. Yes,
Value.
absolutely. The value, giving its value, but not getting carried away by it. Same way to praise also, to blame also, to friends also, and foes also. So these are all what we can say, some of the ways. There is one more simple way of becoming Gunatit, which Krishna is going to share in the last shloka. That we will see on Monday. Yes, that is today's Friday. So we will see on Monday and we'll enter into what is the 15th Adhyay. 15th Adhyay is again an interesting Adhyay. From practical, it again becomes metaphysical. Krishna will talk about some upside down tree. What is it? How is it connected? Why is it? We'll have to see that. So with this, I conclude with the Shanti mantra, after which if anybody has any queries, you are most welcome. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyanto, ma kasyit dukkha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Tatsat, Krishna Mande, Jagat Singh. Hari Om Ji. Namaste.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Ji. Any queries?
Hari Om.
Yes, Ji. Hari Om Ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Ji. Namaste.
Hari Om Ji.
Hari Om Ji. Namaste Ji. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Ji. Hari Om. Yes. If there are no queries, I will conclude the session. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om Ji. Namaste. Ayub Alvin ji. All right.